Hello everybody, welcome to my channel, The Real Super Sam. This is a special complete history of video and I hope you enjoy. So for today's complete history of video, it's all about a character almost everyone wants to see on the channel for a video all about him, the Spot. For my birthday this year, I'm making a video about the complete history on a character, the Spider-Man villain Spot, a very cool villain with crazy powers. Spot can be a really great horror-themed supervillain, and now it's like a 50-50 shot on which version you will get, the silly one or the scary one. A lot of times though, he is just a foolish little villain to show up here and there, with little to no effort given to his character, but when they do, there's a reason so many know about him and his great appearances, so here we go with the complete history of the Spot. Jonathan Owen, the Spot, had his first debut in the spectacular Spider-Man 98, January 1985. This issue is basically just Spot's origin story. Jonathan is a scientist working for the Kingpin and working on getting the same power as that hero Cloak has. While testing it, Owen gets sucked into the portal and yells for help. At the very end of the issue, he climbs back out and finds himself covered in spots, like the circle he was just in, and that his hand is gone. Actually, that was just him unknowingly using his powers, and now Owen will test his powers again on one of the Kingpin's enemies, and today, that's Spider-Man. Then, the Spot first had his big fights in the spectacular Spider-Man 99 and the 100th issue. Today, the Spot's testing out his powers and everything he can now do. While Spider-Man and the Black Cat are on the rooftop together, Pete's Spidey sense goes off and the Spot vanishes Black Cat away so he can fight Spider-Man one-on-one, introducing himself. And the first thing Spidey does is fall down laughing at what a ridiculous name he has given himself. Spot is not too happy about that, and so Spider-Man tries to punch him, but his fist disappears into one of the spots on his body. Spot can throw those spots everywhere in the air, and if he punches into one on the other side of any he chooses, the end of his fist will appear, which is how he can attack Spider-Man. During the fight, the Spot actually brings Spider-Man into the dimension between the portals, but then flings him out right into a wall, knocking the wind out of him. Because Spot has beaten Spider-Man, he has no need to actually kill him, especially when Black Cat shows up, so he leaves, but threatens Spider-Man to never attack the Kingpin again. In issue 100, he hides his new powers from the Kingpin and lies about having harnesses Cloak's power. Later, when Spider-Man returns to Fisk Tower, the Spot is there, appearing in the middle of the sky and attacks Spider-Man. This time, the Spot is out for blood and flings spots out everywhere, and he gets Spider-Man beaten, punching him again and again. But Spider-Man planned for the Spot to basically lose all the spots on his body to make it easy to land a solid blow on the guy, and when that happens, the Spot runs away for a long time. On October 26, 1996, Spot was in Spider-Man the Animated Series, his first media appearance for Spider-Man Taz episode 39 titled The Spot. Jonathan Owen is a scientist at Stark Technology, but gets his project terminated by Tony Stark, the project of the time dilation portals. Wilson Fisk, aka the Kingpin, hires him to work on this project for him. Secretly, he is going to use this technology to finally crush Spider-Man. But one night, he gets sucked into a portal, and his portals go all over the city, causing damages, and he also gets those portals, the spots, all over himself. When Owen gets back to his lab, he sees what the portals have done and cleans them all up, and for his power to not get into the hands of Wilson Fisk, who he sees now as another power-hungry businessman, he is going to steal a lot of money to move his lab to somewhere else. The next day, in broad daylight, Spot is robbing a bank and accidentally sets off the alarm. Sudden Spider-Man shows up and talks to him, with Spot being very polite and not worrying at all about the hero. Spider-Man jumps at him, but Spot opens up a portal, which Spider-Man leaps through onto the rooftop. They fight, and Spot gets Spider-Man tangled in his own webbing and drops him from the sky, but catches him and then leaves, leaving Spider-Man to discover that that guy is a scientist. When Jonathan gets back to his lab, his assistant, who he has a crush on, is telling the Kingpin about his powers and what's happened. She explains that she told Fisk because he is the powerful crime boss, the Kingpin of Crime. Spot then breaks into Crime Central and tries to take on Fisk to become the new Kingpin of Crime, but since the Kingpin has his crush hostage, Spot gives in to Fisk's plan to kill Spider-Man. Spot just waits on the rooftop for Spider-Man to show up, and he regrettably fights the Webhead and loses. As Spot gets the finishing blow, as Spider-Man actually throws one of his very few punches in the whole series at him. At the very end, Spider-Man decides just to talk and come up with a plan to help him. Then the Spot arrives with the knocked out Spider-Man in his arms and carries him to Wilson Fisk's table for an unmasking. It was all a trick, and Spider-Man and Spot planned this together to stop Fisk and free Spot's lab assistant. While they are fighting, a portal that was left open from the night Jonathan Owen became the Spot goes haywire and is so big in the clouds that it can absorb the whole planet into it if they don't do something. Spiderman and Spot use their brains to make a machine to increase Spot's power to close the portal, but it's not enough. To make it enough, Spot sacrifices his life to go into the portal to gain enough strength there to close it from the inside and save the world, ending his appearance in Spider-Man the Animated Series. He was then in his second comic book story in the Spectacular Spider-Man issues 245 and 246 when he was in the Legion of Losers. In issue 245, the Spot joins the Gibbon, Grizzly, and Kangaroo to make this supervillain team called the Spider-Man Revenge Squad or the Legion of Losers. With the team goes out on a crime spree, they rob a bank, but the Spot and Grizzly get into an argument where Grizzly punches through Spot's portals. Anyway, Spider-Man shows up and Kangaroo and the Spot actually beat him, so they take him to the hideout. At the hideout, Spider-Man's body is hung upside down using Spot's portals, and they are deciding what to do with him. Well, then the group starts arguing where the Spot fights the Grizzly and would probably have beaten him, if not for Gibbon helping him out and grabbing him in the portals, and using their strength they pop him out and defeat him. Jonathan Owen had a cameo in Spider-Man Taz episode 64, and that was really it. Fantastic Four Volume 3, issue 38 was his next appearance. Spot is in the last panel. He is being used for his powers. Fantastic Four Volume 3, issue 44 next appeared, and this Spot utilized his powers to open the portal into the negative zone, and that was really it. Next came Spider-Man's Tangled Web, issues 16 and 17. In the story, the supervillain Tombstone is in jail, and his cellmate is Jonathan Owen, the Spot, unable to use his powers in this prison. So Tombstone just sees him as a big loser and threatens him to do what he wants. And at the end, Tombstone and the Spot both are able to escape easily from prison, with Spot dressing up as a leopard. In the last page, though, Tombstone murders the Spot since he's no longer useful to him. He came back in the story in Wolverine Volume 3, issues 26 and 27. In this story, Spot and the other supervillains are trying to escape a S.H.I.E.L.D. prison, but Wolverine stops them by killing them, so Spot returned to comics just to die again. And then came Civil War Crimes, issue 1. Here, the Spot has come back to life again, and is in a group of other villains, mostly small time, but then they get caught by Iron Man. He was then in Free Comic Book Day 2007, The Amazing Spider-Man, July 2007. In this story, Spot had a cameo in the Bar with No Name, a supervillain bar the Rogues hang out in. Same month, he was in Marvel Zombies Dead Days just as a cameo, so yeah. In September 2011, he made his appearance in the Ultimate Universe in Ultimate Spider-Man issue 111. Spot doesn't talk here, and it's just a cameo where Spider-Man tells Aunt May about his encounter with this new villain named Spot, who has the same powers from the original 616 version. And yeah, Spider-Man easily defeats him. Spot returned in supervillain Team-Up Modox 11 issues 1 through 3, starting September 2007. Spot here actually tries to rob Rocket Racer, but fails. Together, the 2 and 11 other villains are working together for MODOK, with Spot as their comical interest. MODOK has gathered together all of these villains for his master plan, and he knocks around Spot for laughing at him. Anyway, Spot's powers is very handy when the team is robbing a building. The building holds a weapon that is the most powerful in the universe. Spot in issue 3 was sent by Mandarin to his own dimension. But because he didn't know how he entered the dimension, he couldn't get out for some years. May 2008, Spot was in Amazing Spider-Man issue 552. Once again, Spot is in the Bar with No Name as a cameo. Then he was in Marvel Apes issue 1, but just being an Easter egg, so yeah. May 2009, he was in Amazing Spider-Man 589, my favorite story for the Spot. Today, the Spot is going after the Russians and brutally killing them. Spider-Man sees this and stops Spot from continuing to doing the killing. But Spot is a tough villain to beat now, and eventually the Spot gives up and tells Spider-Man about why he's changed. Since the Spot wasn't after Spider-Man here. The gangster Spot was after accidentally shot his son, so the Spot then and there decided to go after the Russian mob he was a part in, and he explains how he came back to Earth after Modox 11. In the end, we see that he got his son his favorite book, Treasure Island, when he was in the hospital, so the Spot is still out there. Most of what makes this my favorite Spot story is the creepiness with him never talking, and in the end, he even wins. Okay, next, Spot was in Dark Reign, Mr. Negative, issues 1 through 3, which was in 2009. Spot was part of a giant group of super obscure and forgotten Spider-Man villains like White Rabbit, Speed Demon, the Squid, Lightmaster, and Answer, and they are being attacked by Mr. Negative in a sort of gang war against a villain named the Hood. So all these lesser known villains are together to beat Mr. Negative, until Negative Spidey shows up and he beats the Spot and the others up. The Spot has the biggest role to play from the group, as he betrays them and he is secretly working for Mr. Negative, the Spot specifically helping Mr. Negative destroy the Magia crime family here. It is interesting that Spot's best moments in stories are the ones when he doesn't talk, like in this one. Next, in November 2010, he was in Amazing Spider-Man issue 642. Spot is here in a big group of Spider-Man villains, being given an opportunity by Doc Ock to get Harry Osborn and Lily Hollister's baby for him. If they do, they will get money and more. Next came his appearance in number 645. Here, Spot is one of the many loser rogues that Spider-Man interrogates in a few seconds and throws him into the NYPD. January 2011, he appeared in Heroic Age Villains issue 1. I thought this would be cool to show here, a bio from the book on the spot, so here it is. September 2011, he was in Daredevil Volume 3, Issue 1. Spot arrives to try and kidnap a girl for ransom, but luckily Daredevil is there already waiting. Once again, Spot doesn't talk, and his plan here makes him all the more disturbing. Instead of fighting Spot, Daredevil goes into one of Spot's portals with him, and leaves him looking like roadkill at the end. He was next in Daredevil Volume 3, Issues 20 and 21, January and February 2013. Daredevil in a cave system discovers the Spot hooked up to a bunch of machines hanging there like a power source. The Spot was captured and restrained, and his powers were recreated by an individual called Coyote, working for an unknown figure trying to bring Daredevil down. Freeing Spot turned him into a messed up blob though. But Daredevil eventually fixed him up. He made an appearance in Superior Foes of Spider-Man issue 12, June 2014. Spot is a member of a brand new loser supervillain group called the Sinister 16. Amazing Spider-Man Volume 3, Issue 6 was his next appearance on September 2014. Here, Spot was a cameo in a bar full of supervillains. Spot made his first appearance in the 2010s Marvel universe, in the comics at least, and his first time was in Ultimate Spider-Man Infinite Comics Issues 7 through 9. In this story called Field Trip, Spider-Man and Power Man meet the Spot, returning in the comics continuity, or at least in this Marvel universe. He's stealing specific pieces of equipment. Spider-Man tries to stop him, but Spot easily avoids Spider-Man each time. He was dead in issues 10 and 11. At the end, Spot has his whole machine put together and then explains himself. Spot's father was an agent of Hydra, and he did experiments on him, giving him these powers. Spot actually helped Spider-Man and Power Man get rid of the Hydra ship that was coming for the equipment he stole, and that was that, a little weird appearance of Spot. Next was Volume 3, Issue 16. Once again, Spot had a cameo here. Next was Spider-Man 2099, Volume 2, Issue 11, April 2015. This story has a moment where Spider-Man 2099 goes back to the past while the original Spider-Man is dealing with Spot. Spot is really messed up again, looking like he's out of a horror movie while fighting Spider-Man. But then, Spider-Man 2099 helps Spider-Man quickly knock out Spot. May 2015, he was in Amazing Spider-Man Volume 3, Issue 18. And another cameo. Then came Amazing Spider-Man Volume 3, Issue 20.1, October 2015. Spot is one of the many forgotten supervillains attacking the streets today. The same month, he was in the Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows Issue 4. Spot is just a cameo here as a scientist. The Spot returned for his last 2010's Marvel Universe appearance in Ultimate Spider-Man Infinite Comics Volume 2, Issue 6. Here, the Spot is stealing cars and fighting Spider-Man, Power Man, and White Tiger. He tries to explain himself, but ultimately he has gone to having the life of crime. And Power Man lands the finishing blow at the end. Spot was in the comics Spidey in Issue 7. Here, Spot was just a cameo. Next, Spot was in Jessica Jones Issues 2 and 3. Spot appears out of nowhere and using his speed and portals kidnaps Jessica Jones. Spot was hired here to do that. After the job's done, he just leaves. Then he appeared in Issues 5 and 6. There's a moment where he appears behind Jessica Jones to hand her a note. When Captain Marvel later shows up to see Jessica Jones, Spot actually knocks her around. His last moments is him getting defeated by Captain Marvel though. The Spot returned to fighting Spider-Man in Spider-Man Issues 234 through 236. Spot in here is with a gang of some other Spider-Man rogues. These villains' plan is to steal the helicarrier. But Spot, the new Electro, and Sandman are planning to betray the rest and keep the profits. Spot was also in Spider-Man Issues 238 to 240. Finally, the team is into the helicarrier to steal it. They steal it, and right when they are about to sell it to Lucia von Barden, the champions show up and start a big fight. In the last issue, 240, Spot is in one panel and gets defeated. On July 30th, 2018, Spot made his first appearance in the 2017 Spider-Man cartoon show in episode 34, called Bring on the Bad Guys Part 2. Spider-Man gets attacked by Spot, but gets knocked around easily, and Spider-Girl also fights the Spot in the episode and knocks him out, and this was happening in the first place because there's a bounty on Spider-Man's head. Next, the Spot was in Infinity Wars issues 1 and 2. Three limousines stop in front of a park. Spot gets out of a car with other Marvel rogues, where the Guardians of the Galaxy and other heroes soon show up for a gathering of the group Infinity Watch, which of course leads to a big fight. Rocket Raccoon actually shoots a bunch of bullets in the Spot, and they come out another spot on his body. It's a really cool moment. But when the Avengers show up, including Spider-Man, they Spot and the other rogues retreat. He was then in Amazing Spider-Man Volume 4, Issues 6 and 7. The Spot is back in the Sinister 16 group led by Boomerang. And yeah, just being a character is all he does. April 2019, he was in Winter Soldier Volume 2, Issue 3. In this issue, the Spot has appeared out of nowhere to kill the Winter Soldier. And Spot is doing this because he is working for someone else. But even though they fight in his own dimension, he still loses. Same month, he was in Marvel Superhero Adventure Spider-Man Web of Intrigue. This time, the Spot is in the Sinister 18. Amazing Spider-Man Volume 5, Issue 19, HU, came out in April 2019, had the Spot in it. Spot has a cameo here, or maybe these appearances are more of just an Easter egg, who knows. Well, actually, maybe I should start calling them Easter egg appearances from now on. Next, Spot, but not with his powers in this story. He was just Jonathan Owen, and he was in Symbiote Spider-Man issues 1 through 4. This is a flashback story, and it reveals that Mysterio, Quentin Beck, and the Spot Jonathan Owen are good friends, and this time, Owen is still working for the Kingpin. Just randomly, Owen sees Quentin Beck as Mysterio on top of Fisk Tower while he's grabbing a smoke. Together, Mysterio has a plan that will get Fisk incredible power. So we open issue 2 with Fisk mistreating Owen as his lab assistant. Mysterio manages to steal the sample of the symbiote suit that Black Cat took, and he and Jonathan examine it, seeing that it moves and expands all on its own somehow. But then, Spot gets called back to the Kingpin. In the very end, after seeing Mysterio escape Kingpin's torture room by getting that part of the symbiote on him, Fisk slaps Owen and demands that he does research on what that symbiote thing was, and that is all with the Spot here. October 27th, 2019, Spot made his last appearance to date in the Spider-Man 2017 show, episode 46, called The Cellar. Spot was just a cameo here, so yeah. Star, issue 1, January 8th, 2020, is Spot's last appearance to date. Spot was in a bar as a background character again. So yeah, that was everything about anything when it comes to Spot up to July 2020. My favorite times when Spot just shows up and does something gruesome and stays silent. Writers have done so much with the Spot since he has changed so much from his early days. This was a cool character to talk all about and make a complete history of video on. Mr. Rogue's already made a Forgotten Villain video on him, so I just made a complete history of video about the guy, and yeah, I'm glad to add another Spider-Man villain to the playlist, especially on my birthday, since Spidey is my favorite superhero. I think a lot of people know best about him from Spider-Man Taz, maybe his best or second best appearance of the character. Some people hate that episode, but it's one of my favorites. With that all said, thank you all for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing for more. Bye guys, and have a good day.